My other idea how to fix this, and this is really the bulk of our conversation today and some other things I want to spin off and talk about, is in order to put this all together, I think we talked earlier about the production numbers and how inconsistent they are. I think we need to say, if we're going to bring in McLaren buyers, Ferrari buyers, Porsche buyers, let's conduct ourselves as such. Let's say let's create a market and control our market. Let's make 25,000 cars a year. And that's what we're going to make. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Corvette channel. Welcome to our Sunday Coffee with Conti show. My name is Rick, and it is all things Corvette on this channel. Information, experiences, yours and mine, and the fun that Corvette brings to our lives. So today, I want to have a direct and a real conversation. We want to talk about the Corvette marketplace, where it was, where it is, and where it's going. And I say we because we have a special guest to join us today. It is Mike from Brink of Speed. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, Rick?
Good, man. Thanks for joining me. And folks, before we get into the conversation, so you appreciate our opinion, I want to give you a little background on myself and Mike. We're both a couple of car guys from the Detroit area. Mike, tell the folks about yourself.
So yeah, I grew up in Detroit, well, about 30 miles north of Detroit. And I had family members that lived in Sterling Heights. And when we would go drive to see them, we would go past all of the manufacturers, GM, Ford, Chrysler, and see all of that, plus see all of the dealerships. So we were really in the mecca of where all of the cars were being built and sold at the same time.
Absolutely. Myself, I've been an exclusive Corvette sales representative for 30 years. I'm proud to say I'm the only guy that is focused only on Corvette in the car business for his entire career, and we're not done yet. And we're having this conversation today because we're concerned. Mike and I have talked many times off air. We wanted to share it with you and involve you guys and get your comments and your feedback in hopes that maybe somebody at corporate is watching this and some of our ideas will instill through them and keep this car moving forward in the great light that it has been up until this point. I have just been a big fan of this car. Like Mike said, from the Detroit area, being a little kid, going to the different car dealerships before you could even drive, walking down the street, peering in the windows, looking at all the cool cars and dreaming one day to have one of those cars. And because I care so much about this car and I'm so passionate, it's not for me just about selling the car. I care about the customer and I care about the state of the market. I'm a marketing guy, and that's why I think today you're going to enjoy this conversation. And I think it's fair to say, Mike, right now, the market is uneasy right now, and I have a couple of reasons why. I want to get your opinion, and I've got a couple of ideas on how I think we can fix that. Why do you think everything's kind of topsy-turvy right now? It's just kind of weird feeling, isn't it?
It really is. I think, GM got into a space that they weren't used to being into. Mm-hmm. And they definitely weren't used to having the type of clientele that they have now.
Right on point.
And it shows because they're not doing for that clientele what that clientele is used to getting done. Whether, we're talking about just delivery of the car, but also when you take your car in for service, there's issues there as well where you've got amateurs working on a $200,000 car.
Right.
And it's a problem.
I agree 100%. And I think you could say the shift in the Corvette marketplace, not only its representation, stuff from production and corporate, has really started with the success of C8. And I'm worried that it's going to be ruined and the heritage is going to be tarnished. Look at the inconsistent numbers. The production numbers go back to 2020, 20,368. 21. Now, of course, back then, it was different times. We know that, Mike. We were dealing with COVID. We were dealing with supplier issues. We were dealing with the strike of the UAW. 2021, they came back with a little bit more, 26,216 cars. 22, they did 25,831. 23 was the second largest production year in the history of Corvette at 53,785. 24, they made 42,934. And in 2025, 23,920. Major inconsistency, and that's going to lead to one of my ideas on how we can fix that. But you said it exactly. I think where we're at right now, we're seeing different people running Corvette, and you're not seeing the focus, and you're not, I guess we're losing the passion, not only from the customer, but from dealerships and from corporate. And I just want to see that come back before it gets away from us and we lose it. Let's step back, take a deep breath, and realize, okay, here's the things we've done right. What do we got to do to keep this going? What do we got to do to take care of our customers? And I just feel like from a corporate standpoint, there's no longer a focus on the customer. And let me use the example right now of the 25 Z06s and the recall. I mean, I hate to throw it out there, but man, this is frustrating for me as a representative. It's frustrating for the customers, and we're just getting no communication. Why are we getting no communication? You know, let's take care of business and get things done rather than having exceptions become the rule, rather than having excuses. And if you go back in the day, you remember back in the 90s and the early 2000s, GM would step up and they would do anything to retain a customer. And in this situation that's going on right now, I don't anticipate they're going to do that. But when they do get the fix and they do announce it, which I think is still another week away, which is darn near going to be 2 months, they would come out and say, hey, for the 2025 Z06 and ZR1 customers that we couldn't deliver the car, here's a goodwill rebate. We apologize for the inconvenience. You know, here's $3,000. Thanks for hanging in there. We want to keep you as a customer. I don't think we're going to see that, but they used to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think greed has really taken control of whoever is in control there right now. And the C8 started that because, you know, the C7 was a big deal, and you know, because you sold it, and
Yes.
It was quite a bit different than the C6, but the C8 completely changed the game. You and I both knew back in 2018, before it ever even came out, that this car was going to bring a new buyer. And because of that, they don't have a hard time selling these cars, and they know what they've got, and so they care about the money aspect of it and not the customer anymore like they used to.
And I get that. Let's face it, you have to care about the money aspect. It is business at the end of the day, and I totally get that. But not understanding the big picture and the disconnect. I mean, if you take Corvette racing, for example, I mean, and I use the sales of Competition Yellow and how they're just not what they used to be. You don't see Chevrolet at the corrals. You don't see a lot of the marketing and the promotion. And the Corvette race team just won a huge championship this year. But there seems to be a disconnect, and the fans aren't there in the quantities that they were before. It was the old adage, you know, win on Sunday and sell on Monday. We just don't have that feeling anymore. We don't have those people like Doug Feehan in place that we used to have, that really were the people that were connected to the customer and the car and the market and had passion for this. Every time they spoke at events, I mean, it was non-scripted, and it was hours of conversation on stage and after they were off stage. We loved it, and we've kind of lost a little of that touch.
They seem to be very short-sighted now on all their thinking. You know, instead of a customer for life, they're just trying to gain a new customer, and that's not smart, and it's showing. And it's really showing with what's happening with the ZR1. The Z06 debacle from the fires was bad, but
Right.
What have they done with the ZR1 since day one? And you and I called it. We were like, please don't bring this thing out until you guys have it down pat and you know there's not going to be any issues.
And have all the parts
And we've
available.
had nothing but issues.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and you made a point earlier too, and I think that's why we're having a little bit of an issue, is that we've got such a new customer to this car. They don't understand the nuances that we go through in allocations. These people want to buy a car. They're looking for immediacy. We're getting exactly what GM wanted. So congratulations to the team and the engineering and the design for giving us a great product. But I think when it goes above them, that's where we're failing, because these people that have Ferrari, McLaren, Porsche, they don't want to hear it's 8 months to a year and a half for a car. I mean, they might be accustomed to that, but when you have a volume car and much greater volumes than those other models I just mentioned, this car should be available to them, and unfortunately, it's just not. And here's the other thing now. Back in C7, you could order a car. I could tell you, you order a car from me, Mike, right now, and you said, hey, Rick, I don't want to take delivery until March 10th. Guess what? I could have that car delivered within 5 days of March 10th right now. But right now, I could tell you, I don't know if I'm going to get an allocation. I don't know what the constraints are going to be. And it's because you don't know the quantities in advance. And it's hard to really set our customers' expectations as they tell us to do, because that information is simply not available. You made another good point, too, about service. And let's talk there first, you know, about sales, because sales sells the first car and service sells the second car. And now you see, and I think the problem we're seeing there now, and it's a bigger problem. Yes, Chevrolet franchise dealers should have the right to sell the car, but I'm seeing the allocation methodology different. And again, we don't know in the manner and how these are earned. There used to be focused Corvette dealers, and Chevrolet would reward them for stocking the cars and selling the cars and having events at your dealership and doing charity events and going to national events and promoting the lifestyle of Corvette. That was a Corvette dealership. And the Chevrolet dealership that wouldn't do that wouldn't get allocation. You wouldn't want to give a guy 50 cars and then 6 months he still has 50 cars sitting there because he's waiting for the customer to come in and sell the car to themselves. Chevrolet wanted people that were proactive with the car. The C8, it's changed multiple times. We don't know what it is. We're seeing dealers that we've never heard of before all of a sudden have large quantities of C8 Corvette. But as the market's changing right now, those are the very dealers that you never had before. Now they don't want the car because the car is not selling itself. And it takes time. It really takes a lot of time. And I enjoy those conversations with people, but I don't think people really know if you don't know anything about Corvette and you walk in the door, really, truly, the hours it takes to put a car together, whether you're buying one in stock or ordering a car. I mean, there's a lot of choices now to the car, and you've got to have knowledgeable staff to represent this car. You've got to have dealerships that are Corvette focused. GM needs to support those dealerships, like you said, in service. Let me get back on that now. So when you come into service, you have to have a service writer that knows this car, and you need to have technicians that know how to work on the car and also just give us common courtesy. Let's get steering wheel covers. Let's get plastic on the seats.
Yeah, let me tell you a quick nightmare story. I'll make it very fast.
Okay.
I'm not going to name the dealership, but I took my E-Ray in to get the first oil change, and I picked that car up, and there was oil all over my Sky Cool Gray seats and Sky Cool Gray 3LT or 3LZ suede ceiling, A-pillars, B-pillar, everywhere. There was oil.
What do they do? Let a lube rack guy do it?
How does that happen at a Chevrolet dealership that sells $200,000 AR1s? It's crazy.
Again, there needs to be focus for the customer, cater to the customer. So we're talking about some things that are wrong in this. So you're saying, okay, Rick, the gist of the video, how do you fix that? I think because we've got such a better product now, the best Corvette that we've ever had, and I care about our future and I want us to have a good, robust future, and everything's all over the place, I think we need to really control this a little bit more. I mean, look back in 2020, Mike, to where we are now. The base cars went up $12,000.
Yeah.
Okay, what are you getting for $12,000? You're getting the rear camera in the rear view mirror. You're getting a center leather steering wheel cover. You're getting lane keep assist, soft close on the front trunk, and front collision alert. That's not 12 grand. And I think what you need to do is again, it's a business, no disrespect, you're allowed to make a profit, but let's provide a service that goes along with that, and let's take some of that profit. One of my ideas is spend a little bit more money on your suppliers.
Right.
To just cut that margin, use that, I don't know, I always use this baseball mentality, so don't hit a home run, hit singles. Keep guys on the bases, keep them moving, So take some of that profit and put it in your suppliers so you have consistency in pieces, parts, so you don't have the interruption of availability of parts on certain models and downtime on production because you can't get parts. Pay the guys to do the job. And if they're not going to do it, you've got the money to do it, go get somebody that'll do it, because everybody's out there trying to earn a buck. And if you're offering a good buck and you're not trying to cut them, well, then you might get a better result in doing so. My other idea how to fix this, and this is really the bulk of our conversation today and some other things I want to spin off and talk about, is in order to put this all together, I think we talked earlier about the production numbers and how inconsistent they are. I think we need to say, if we're going to bring in McLaren buyers, Ferrari buyers, Porsche buyers, let's conduct ourselves as such. Let's say let's create a market and control our market. Let's say, and I kind of teased this when I was on your show earlier in the year, let's make 25,000 cars a year. And that's what we're going to make. We're not going to make, this, like I said earlier, 20,000, 26, 25, 53, 42, 23. We're going to make 25,000 cars a year. And then you divvy it up within that from all the models that we have and who gets what percentage. And then you line people up. When the C8 launched, Mike, you know what? You had to wait forever for your cars. It was 4.5 years before we had a car in stock to sell. That was a strong market. We've never seen that. But let's get back to that. So the people were happy. There was anticipation. They were ordering the car. They had no problem waiting because they knew they had to wait. So let's make 25,000 cars a year. By doing that and paying the suppliers a little bit more, you keep your supplies in order. There are no constraints now because we're controlling our own destiny. You know what I mean? You want a high wing, you see it, you get a high wing. When you and I were at the Bash in April, I was disgusted, and I teased to make fun of it just to deal with the stress because there was no high wings. Talking about the ZR1 launch that was just embarrassing, and then and everybody was saying it. Look at all the high wings that are out here. I mean, it was unbelievable. How come I can't get one? They've got them all there, and I understand there's testing and validation that they have to do, but I think my methodology, if we did a controlled 25,000 cars a year, now you can predict your future. You can control your business model. And here's what you're going to do is have a strong new car market. You have a strong used car market. I mean, you're one of the guys that have done, and I get it, you got to do content. You've done one of the videos that, all the used car market's in the tank because there's so many new Corvettes. Well, guess what? The used car market's back up again because there's not any new Corvettes to sell. It's all over the place. I mean, so we now would have consistent marketplace. It wouldn't diminish the value, I guess, in the Corvette, which is unfortunate because it is so special to us. And it's hard for somebody to say, wow, how come my car's not worth so much? Well, because they're making so many cars. If we were making 25,000 cars a year, you create a sustained marketplace. Maybe you kick up the price a little bit, compensate your profit margin, but you have a market that you know you're going to sell 25,000 cars. And that's what people don't understand. I mean, you do. When a car's made and it's invoiced, we're the customer to General Motors. We buy that car from General Motors. So to them, like when you do a plant tour, all these cars in here are sold. No, they're not. They're sold to dealers. They're not sold until they're in a driveway. There's two different sold mindsets. So if you're making 25,000 cars a year, you're going to sell all 25,000 cars a year. You're going to have people waiting, and they understand they're going to wait. They're going to enjoy waiting. You make it an experience. You make it a lasting impression in the car because, I remember the euphoria when we delivered those cars in those first 4 years. Oh, I'm so glad I got it. Wow, it was really worth the wait. The car lives up to the hype. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to that passion, but we need it from the corporate level. Engineers, design has given us that car. Going back to service and just dealership, so the dealership can change, the representation can change, corporate needs to change, but I think the way that we treat our customers, like having a nice area for service, nice snack bar, sitting area, maybe private rooms for meeting or working, or maybe having a specific Corvette room for, like, you would go in and consult. And here we're going to show you all the paint swatches and the interior swatches. Let's really custom order your car. Make it that experience that this car deserves, and it is, before we lose the passion of the heritage. I mean, those are just some of my ideas. I don't know what you think on that, Mike. If the 25,000 mindset works, doesn't work, what do you think on that, dude?
No, I agree with that. And as far as the service department goes, I feel like it needs to be similar to like an Admiral's Club that you would go to in an airport, because you're a frequent flyer of American Airlines or something, and you get to go in there where nobody else gets to go. I feel like the Corvette people, especially when you're spending $100,000 or more on a wide body Corvette, right, you need to be taken care of differently than somebody that brings in a Suburban or a truck.
Right. Well, here's the win, though.
Two totally different customers.
Yeah, but here's the win, though, and I see where you're going with that, but here's the win. So if you are catering to the Corvette client, the most expensive car that Chevrolet offers, the win becomes those people that are buying other Chevrolets and other people that just have other Chevrolets that dream about that car. And then they have more respect for the brand of Chevrolet. They have respect for the Corvette people, but they get to partake in it too because you have a nicer atmosphere within the dealership.
And it makes them want to buy one.
Oh, most certainly. Most certainly. I don't see that when I started the business, it was the stigma of you waited till you retired, you waited 20, 30 years to get a car.
Right.
I'm seeing less and less of those stories because of the new client that's coming in and they're looking for more immediate gratification. So I don't want to lose that heritage. I don't want to lose that passion that this car has been for so long. I think we've got the best car ever and it's going to get better, but we got to look at everything, not just the car. You know, it's our representation as sales representative. It's how we treat the people in the dealership and how we service the car and how GM markets the car. I mean, look at the disconnect back in the bash. I mean, that marketing. I've been to every bash except for one because my son was in the hospital.
It's terrible.
Have you ever seen anybody say, I'm never coming again? Or I seen people walking around so frustrated and so upset. So I drove from Oklahoma, I drove from Texas, I flew in from Arizona. I can't believe that they just have nothing to tell us. And that's what that event was predicated on. And the people that were running it now were totally disconnected from us as a consumer.
Yeah.
You've provided that for so many years. You can't just all of a sudden take it away without some repercussions. And that's essentially what they did. For a week later, the very information that we went to that bash for came out. And it's like, I didn't understand the delay. I still don't.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And as far as going back to the amount of vehicles that you would have them produce, I think you're right on. I think 25,000 is a good number. I feel like the reason why they did what they did, though, is because they were panicking. They were trying to make up for lost time, and they were doing everything they could to try and appease the market and get as many out there as they possibly could. But then they ended up hurting the market, like you've said.
Right.
It really saturated the market where there was no more demand. There was too much supply.
Right.
And values just started tanking. And then on top of that, you know, what they've done with the E-Ray is just a big fail. And to me, it continues to get even worse as a fail because they're raising the price on something that nobody wants.
Right.
How can you raise the price?
Well, in defense of the car, though, nobody wants it, though, because it's mismarketed and it has an identity crisis.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it has an identity crisis. And right now, you have guys saying, like, I don't know if you've seen the video or not, but a video just came out a couple days ago. He's a pretty big YouTuber. He went to go sell his E-Ray, and he's saying that these dealerships didn't even want his E-Ray. And a lot of them were saying, one of them he said in particular said, we've had two E-Rays sitting on the lot for 170 days.
Right.
So anyway, with all of that combined, plus all the constraints on the ZR1, plus with the new issue with the Z06 and them just sitting on lots.
We're talking about constraints. It's funny, we're talking about this now. Just got this part in the email, and I shared this with you before we went on today. This guy says, unfortunately, I'm getting used to, I can't believe that he says I'm getting used to. He says, I'm getting used to GM promoting the fully optioned cars and showing them off in commercials and automotive articles and events, but they're not able to deliver them. So the customers are settling for something they know they can't get even though they want it. That shouldn't be, man. That shouldn't be. You know, I said that to one of the GM officials years ago when they promoted a new feature. I think it was in 16 or 17, and I grabbed him after the presentation. I said, man, are you kidding me? You introduce another carbon fiber part? We can't get carbon fiber parts now. And everyone's going to say, well, hey, I saw it at the bash, and then I got to be the guy to tell them it's unconstrained. Why show it if it's not available?
Yeah, it's like the ZR1X. Why did they even bring that out yet?
And I told you too, man, just like the E-Ray, I had it documented that car was going to be called the ZR1E.
Yeah.
And if it had... Any closing thoughts on our conversation today, my friend?
I just think that you're on to something there. I think that's a great idea. It will definitely bring back the excited buyer if they know that, you know, it's a limited production now. And 25,000 is not really limited, but it's still limited compared to what they could do.
Sure.
And when you think of all the different variants within that 25,000 and they split it up, that's actually not that many Stingrays all of a sudden. You know, you're building maybe half Stingrays and then the other half would be broken up between the three other variants. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it'd be tough to figure out what you're going to divide there. And I'm sure they're going to look at what their biggest profit margin is. And then the other problem you're going to have is dividing who gets the allocation. But the nice thing is for the dealerships that are going to get your allocation, you know they're going to make 25,000 cars. You get X number of cars. Now you can sell that many of cars. And you can say, hey, guess what? I know definitively you're not going to get a 2025. You're going to get probably an early to mid-year 26 based on these numbers. Oh, okay, fantastic.
You know, here's another thing, Rick. The dealerships that do business the right way should be rewarded for that. And so that's another thing that could completely change the game for the dealerships that are selling the cars correctly, and they're actually selling them and they're not sitting on their lot for a long time. If they knew for a fact, just like you said, exactly how many allocations they're going to get of each variant each month, every year, they could do that for the good dealerships. And then for the other dealerships out there that are just willy-nilly, they could say, okay, well, you're getting willy-nilly numbers because you're not taking this seriously. And they could give them kind of the excess. But for the other dealerships that are, and there's a lot of dealerships out there that are doing the right thing, and they're selling a lot of Corvettes. So I feel like they should be given an exact number every single month.
Yeah, agreed. And you can look, GM can look at the historicals, and you can see who is committed to this car. It's easy for the C8. Oh, I want to be a Corvette dealership because the car is so successful. You got to look back at the historicals, good times, bad times. Who supported the car, kept the plant working, kept your suppliers working, kept you ordering cars, building cars, selling cars. Who's really getting that done? Those are the guys you need to focus on. And when they don't do what they're supposed to do, then you start penalizing and then taking away allocation and giving them to another dealership. But I think you got to go back to what this was founded on, because people were used to that. They were used to, I got to go to a dealership that has a big allocation if I want to get a car. My local dealership, because it was back in the day, I don't want a Corvette. I'd rather have 4 Chevy Cruzes in my inventory. It takes too long and there's not enough profit margin on that. I'd rather have 4 new Chevys to sell than 1 Corvette. I don't want to take my guys out of business. And I've talked to different owners, and that was their mindset. So they weren't committed to the car. They didn't have passion. Then why reward them now with allocations because it's a great car now and they want one? You know, that's again, inconsistency in the distribution part, so I don't know. We could go on and on about this, but I think I'm onto something, and that's why I wanted to do the show and have the conversation. I can't wait to see the comments from people down below, but just know we wanted to have this conversation because Mike and I care about the car. We care about the market. We care about the future of the car. And we want to have a strong future of the car. I mean, there's a lot of great things coming, and you can't take that away from the Corvette team, the designers, and the engineers. It's their bosses that are dropping the ball, in my opinion, sometimes,
Yeah, and they hit it out of the park with the car.
Yeah.
They've dropped the ball with everything else.
All those guys that we mentioned earlier that are on the Corvette team, they were doing it because they really, it was their job, but they really had a deep-seated passion for it and loved it. And I'm sure they didn't work a standard day. I'm sure there was a lot of 12, 14, 16-hour days because they wanted to, man. And I think some of the corporate guys, they had to start somewhere in this business. Why don't you come to the dealerships and hang out for a week, and see what really goes on? Let's remember where you came from. Let's get back to basics. Let's take care of our customers, Let's retain our customers. Let's continue to build the brand. So I think we've said enough. So you got something else? I'm sorry, Mike.
No, I was just going to say one more thing. I was at the Z06 reveal, and I never saw anyone so happy as when Taj came upstairs. He had gone downstairs to do something, and the reveal was up on a higher level of the Peterson Museum, and he came back upstairs, and he had this huge grin on his face. And I walked up to him and I said, hey, man, I just want to tell you congratulations on the Z06. You guys knocked it out of the park. He goes, Mike, or he didn't say my name. He said, I just got off the phone with Porsche, and they were congratulating us on the Z06, and that's the first time Porsche's ever done that.
Oh, yes.
So that just tells you what a great job the engineers did with all of these C8 variants, but now they just got to get the rest of it right.
Yeah, I think we made some good points today. I appreciate you sharing in the conversation. Folks, thanks for joining us on Coffee with Conti today. Support my channel if you would. I don't put commercials in the middle of the video, so help me get to 100K. Subscribe and hit the bell notification. Yeah, you're laughing. You're closer than I am. Whatever.
No, I'm not laughing because of that. I'm laughing because of the commercial comment.
Well, no,
I know what you mean, though.
it's inside story. Well, it's funny. Mike says, Rick, you should put commercials in the middle of your video. And I don't do that because I use that to promote myself and sell cars. And then all of a sudden I'm promoting the car and, going back to E-Ray, I had a lot of people, hey, Rick, your idea going to drive the E-Ray at the NCM Motorsports Park, that was a great idea. Thanks, I did it. You're right. It's an amazing car. I loved it. I bought one from so-and-so. But I never even got the call to even say no. It's like, so I'm promoting the car to help other dealers sell a car. So it's like, I don't want to, back to business, I don't want to put commercials in the middle of the video. I want to retain the conversations in the viewership with you guys. So I'm still trying to keep my original mindset, but I'm being told I should do it differently because the YouTube, let's face it, it's another facet of my business and I have to handle it as a business. So I appreciate the chuckle there, Michael.
Yeah. But yeah, help Rick get to 100,000. He definitely deserves that type of love. And his channel definitely deserves it, man. He works super, super hard every single day.
I appreciate that.
And the stuff that I give you guys, I'll do some stuff in a silly manner just to create awareness on something, but I'll do things that other guys do, and I want to do it better than them, but I'll do things that they will never do. And that's what I want you to expect when you come to this channel. You'll get, like today, no one else is having this conversation. We're having a very direct conversation, a real conversation from the gut, from the heart, and I hope you appreciate it. So thank you for watching and engaging with us today. Look forward to seeing you soon.